And good afternoon. I already forgot what time it was. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Co-Founded Podcast. That was a really, really long so I was really trying to figure out what time it was, which is tough. Anyways, I'm joined as always. My name is Ethan. I'm joined as always by my esteemed colleagues, Matt and Josh. Matt, we'll start with you today. How are you doing?
You know, I've been without water since 3 p.m. yesterday because of a main water line leak, and they've been fixing it ever since in my whole city. So everyone in the whole city is without water. It's
The whole
pretty,
city? Whole
whole
peninsula is
city.
out of water?
Yeah,
I
whole
hate that.
peninsula is out of water. It's pretty
Ouch.
intense. But you know what? All I can think about is one thing, and that's USA. USA. I believe that we will win. I believe that. Yeah, I'm stoked on the World Cup, guys. I'm getting all amped up.
I'm getting pretty fired up too.
Nothing
Yeah.
can bring me down, not even a main water line break. No water in my house. I'll go without a shower forever because I'm pumped on the World Cup. So that's how I'm feeling. Let's go.
Maybe you shouldn't take a shower until the U.S. lose. Have you considered that?
Oh,
Just like how people grow out beards in the playoffs. Like maybe you should just not take a shower until
I
the
think
U.S.
I
lose.
should not jinx it. You're right. Because they haven't lost yet because the World Cup hasn't started yet.
Yeah,
so
they haven't lost yet.
I can't jinx it now.
Yeah, you
If I
can't jinx
shower
it
now.
now.
It's because you haven't taken a
Logic
shower.
says if I shower, they'll lose. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
okay,
So
perfect. All right. Yeah, good
anyways,
idea.
I'll put the call in to the water people to not turn the water back on. So you're forced
Appreciate that.
to comply.
Appreciate that.
Anyways, very exciting stuff. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I have showered, so
Good.
that's my update.
That's good. So that's a very
That's all
normal
I
thing
have
to
to
do
add.
on a daily basis. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, let's start with some really, really exciting news on one of America's storied institutions, Cracker Barrel, absolutely surging today, up 22%. Matt, you brought this to my attention. I don't follow Cracker Barrel stock nearly as closely as you do, apparently. Can you lean in here? Can you tell us what's going on? I see in the related stocks, Cheesecake Factory is also up 4%.
Yeah.
Probably just because why not? Why wouldn't Cheesecake Factory's
Yeah.
stock also go up a little bit? Because
Well-
Cracker Barrel stock's going up. But please fill us in
Yeah.
here.
Well, when you think of Cracker Barrel, you probably think of the rocking chairs. You probably think of the checkerboards. You probably think of the candy sticks in the general store. But I think of business intelligence, okay? Business operations, okay? That's what I think about. They got tons of locations. It's a hot spot, okay? They're always innovating. They're rolling out AI across their business intelligence platforms, 30% stock surge. I've always said, keep your eye on Cracker Barrel, boys. Keep your eye on them. You know,
Never
and
said
actually,
that.
I believe they're rebranding the Cracker Barrel AI, actually. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be a great
Now,
new
legally, we have
restaurant.
to say none of this is financial advice. I just want to make sure we're covered.
Yes,
legally.
this is not financial advice,
this is
but
not
buy
financial
Cracker
advice.
Barrel.
Yeah.
That's a
And you
joke.
definitely
This is
should
not
buy now
financial
at the
advice.
top.
No,
while
but
we're
I
at
did
it,
find that
like,
I did find that interesting.
that is interesting. Cheesecake Factory also, now that I saw it as a related stock, is also up 33% on the year. So
Wow.
I haven't been to Cheesecake Factory in a minute, but I'm really glad to see that they're doing well. That's another storied institution. Unfortunately, Cracker Barrel is still down over the past year. They're up year to date because they tanked all the way down to like $25 early January. But
Now's the
they
time
did
to get in. This is not financial advice. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. So, yeah, big. I love Cracker Barrel. I don't know what you guys. I grew up going to Cracker Barrel. I love it.
Absolutely.
I think it's awesome. Great hot spot when you're on road trips on the East Coast. Love Cracker Barrel.
Yep, agreed.
But I'm genuinely curious from you guys. Like, what do you think? I haven't looked into it too much. I don't know that much about their business operations, but do we think this is like back office, like supply chain stuff, bringing prices down across the board for like their food, their workers? Like, what is this? Is it like truck routes? Like, what is this software they're rolling out?
They've had a tumultuous past year because they changed their logo, and that really got everyone very angry. They went back. So I think the logo discourse is finally behind us. I'm trying to, this is all brand new info. I'm really trying to digest as much as possible right now of just what's going on and why they're.
This is live breaking news. This is
truly breaking. This is an after hours announcement. It hasn't even been traded on this. Every website I try to find to gosh, browsing the internet is horrible these days with just pop-ups and subscriptions. So it's,
Oh yeah.
um, I can't really honestly find much information, but like clearly people are going back to these types of restaurants. Chili's is also having a resurgence. Apparently, Cheesecake Factory too. Like, there's definitely some corner of the market that is striking. I don't know. Maybe as millennials have families, they're going back to maybe they stopped eating at Cracker Barrel in their 20s, and now we're all in our 30s and we're having families, and we're like, wait, these places are lit with kids.
Maybe their
Um,
prices have
a
stayed a
la
little
Chili's.
more consistent, like not
What?
as affected,
Totally. Well, that's
but
definitely with Chili's. Like their prices are better than McDonald's. Like
yeah.
legitimately, as a family.
I feel
So
like
I
now
think
you can choose,
there's this corner of the market.
I feel like now it's like, do I go to Chipotle and spend $50 for 2 people, or do I go to Cheesecake
Well,
Factory and spend
hold on.
probably the same amount?
You got to leave Chipotle out of this because Chipotle is the only respectable company in all this. You can still get a chicken bowl for $10. Everyone who exaggerates Chipotle prices, let's get out of this. McDonald's, you can use that
Hey,
as an example, or Subway, because 2 people cost $50 at either of those places.
I think it's
Or do you go to
location
Chili's?
dependent. Mine's up to $15.
No, it's not.
Oh yeah.
Not for a chicken bowl. No, it's
Oh
not.
yeah.
What are they charging? 50% tax down
I'll
there?
send receipts. It's
Okay, I want to
brutal.
see them.
It's honestly brutal.
Are
It's
you
honestly
adding
brutal.
6 scoops of guac to your chicken bowl with double
Well,
meat?
yeah,
Because you,
and extra meat and extra
well,
and
yeah, no wonder.
queso and
Yeah,
guac, of course. Is that extra? Are they supposed
yeah.
to tell you?
Anyways, I don't know if costs are coming down or if it's just like they had an earnings beat. So I don't know. We got to look into it. But
Wow. But I love
this
that
is
though.
really across the
That's
wire.
yeah.
The
Josh, what do
interesting
you
part
think?
about it is that like Oracle stock is down 10% after hours, and Amazon is down, Microsoft's
Hmm.
down. And like those are the companies that provide the storage and oftentimes deliver
The
the actual
intelligence.
models. So I'm like, what is happening here?
Uh,
Like you're saying that Cracker Barrel is going to be worth way more, but then they're going to be buying the AI from these other companies, but those companies are worth less. It's all such a weird, confusing market. And then the thing that I immediately thought of when you brought that up was I've been looking at real estate in Fernley, Nevada, which is near Great America Parkway or American Parkway, something like that, which is the place that's closest to California that allows data centers. And the real
mm,
estate there is
Mm,
shooting up because people are
mm.
speculating, I guess, or also not financial advice. Don't listen to me. But
this is
the
real estate
This is all
advice, not
alleged. This
financial
is all
advice.
none
this
of
is
this
all
is
alleged
advice about
advice.
anything.
It's
But
alleged
the
advice.
prices on houses there are up like 100 to 150% in the last 10 years, whereas a lot of places prices on houses are like flat the last 5 to 10 years. And
Mm.
I just can't make heads or tails of any of this. It doesn't add up. Whereas like Cracker Barrel is going to spend on AI, but then the companies delivering the AI are not worth as much as they used to be. And then maybe these data centers will bring so many jobs that houses in this town are going to be worth way more in the future. It just feels like. And then I saw a meme today that was like San Francisco right now, and it's a bunch of people selling shovels. And then this new person's coming into town and they're like, "Hey, do you want to buy our shovels?" And the person's like, "No, I'm here to also sell shovels." And it's like
Mm.
Mm.
everybody's selling a promise that has not happened.
Well, that's the whole like that's really converging with SpaceX going public because
Hmm.
your base of that whole entire valuation is just on a promise far out in the future at like 120x revenue or whatever it is that they're trying to price that thing at. And I feel like that literally summarizes what you're talking about. Like everything is so hedged on a future promise. At what point did the promises start collapsing? I have no idea.
Can I insert a later agenda item now? Because
Please.
my later agenda item is that the consumer sentiment index, which is exactly what it
Oh
sounds like,
yes.
how do consumers feel about the economy, is the lowest that it has ever been. And it started tracking in 1981. I think there's gas lines in there some point. Remember, like Iran
Yep.
scandal, gas, you can't even buy
Yeah, I
it.
remember that.
There's been multiple recessions, and it's low. It's like a 48 right now, and the previous low is a 52. So you combine
That's
all of
really
this with
interesting.
the fact that people, like the average person in America, feels like the sky is falling, and you're just like, why are we betting on some hypothetical future at 120x like revenue when the average person feels like everything is terrible? It's so, I guess maybe those two things
Yeah.
do make sense. If you feel like now is terrible, then you just want to bet on the future. But it feels
Yeah.
so messed up.
Josh, you're a pretty well-read individual. I feel like you
Thanks.
you read books, which I do not.
Yes.
Do you know anything about how this compares or how sentiment compares today? Like how it compares to the way that it felt in the .com like boom. Like I've seen people drawing comparisons to the bubble of the .com boom when it comes to like stocks and stuff like that, and the patterns they're seeing in the market. But do you know anything about back then? Like what? I mean, we were youngins back then, but like, do you know anything about what consumers were feeling, or are we seeing any parallels or anything? Do you know anything about that? I'm putting you on the spot. It's okay if you don't, but I'm curious though.
As far as I can tell, the economy, like the broader economy, was stronger then.
Mm,
Like you look at the consumer sentiment index in 2001,
hmm.
um, right after the crash, and then at its lowest point in March of 2003, it was a 77, and we're currently sitting at a 49.8.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
and then the previous low, May 1980 at 51.7.
Hmm.
So, and then the only other time it gets even close to that, August 2011, after the housing crash at 55. So
Wow.
it is more than ever before. However, I would caveat that with this is the first time we've had mass social media.
Hmm.
And I do think
Yeah.
that it's making
Amplifies things.
indexes like this like more extreme.
I mean, it
So
amplifies in either the positive or negative direction.
yeah.
Like it's just gonna amplify it, and people will be like, "Yeah,
Yeah. So
things
I
are
don't know.
bad,"
Yeah.
or
Well,
"Yeah,
I
well,
don't know if
here's
you
what's
could
things."
just
so
go off that.
interesting. Yeah. Here's what's interesting though. Like, how do you basically match that up with the fact that consumer demand is essentially showing no signs of slowing down? Like, I think I was reading that like airlines are expecting, record amount of travelers this summer, like at least more than last year. It's like it's hard for me to match up those two things. Is it kind of like you just put your hands in the air and you're like, whatever, and you just go spend it anyways, and it's like some denial thing until there's like some massive correction. It's like I've always never really been able to match up like, all right, consumer index is super low, but consumer demand
People,
is
or is it like people
just
can't buy
vibing.
houses, but they're still buying like Starbucks? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, yeah, it could potentially be that too. Like,
Well, to
oh,
get a little
presentation.
interactive here, this is
Oh,
total debt of US households, which is just steadily going up. It looks like it's leveled off a little bit between the end of 25 and now, but
that's interesting.
it has continued to climb. And so I have seen headlines of like consumers are spending like there's no tomorrow. And
Yeah.
it does kind of seem like that is the case, given that like from 2013 until now, the household debt has gone up by 60%,
Hmm.
which is pretty significant. And it is interesting that it actually went down after 2008. So that that slowdown seemed to impact people in the way of like, actually, we should stop spending so much. But now, even though people feel bad about the economy, they're still
they
spending
still want to
more
spend.
money.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
That's interesting.
N- None of us are economists, so we can only comment so much here. Really, just from a layman's terms or whatever. It's just it's just an interesting thing to talk about. 'Cause it's like I swear it's just like the more you read, the more you like look around. The more you read or what you see online versus when you just like look around, it just seems to be like could not be further from each other
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
right now too. And I'm not sure if
yeah.
that's like concerning or a disconnect or like go touch grass or whatever. I don't really know outcome of that is or what to take away from that, but it certainly is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, anyways, interesting stuff. Meanwhile, pivoting to another topic. So I put this one on the agenda. I mean, I've been seeing more and more of this where it's essentially like companies are like we've talked about before, rubber meeting the road a little bit. Companies are kind of out of their fairy tale AI, and they're like, all right, we need to start actually seeing valuable return on this. And if it's not at a certain threshold, we need to start putting like major limits on how much we're spending on this stuff and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So I was reading one that Uber was setting a $1,500 cap on some AI coding tools for staff. I'm sure that's a very general statement, and like it is totally different depending on which team you're on and what your role is and like things like that. But I think all in all, regardless of the details, the sentiment seems to be settling in of like, oh yeah, we run a business. So is this thing that we're doing making our business better and more profitable, or making it the same, or making it worse with the amount of money we're spending? And
Yeah.
we need to go figure that out.
Yeah.
And we're going to start restrictive and grow and go from there or something.
Well, I think
Mm-hmm.
there's two ways that you can make more money, right? Which ultimately the AI at some point has to help you make more money. You can't just have it be cutting money, because that has an upper limit on it. Like, you're capped at some point of like how much you can cut cost. Also, that's kind of weird, because then it means you're actually losing market share. If you're in an industry that is expanding, you're not in like a shrinking industry. If you just focus on cutting costs, at some point you'll hit a maximum. So it has to grow revenue. And in our experience running businesses, you can either build product that people want or make more sales. And it doesn't necessarily seem like there's a lot of stories coming out where AI is helping people ship production ready product, and it doesn't seem like it's helping them to make more sales. And so I wonder if it's just kind of hitting a head where it's like, at least on the sales side, I can speak to that a lot more. What it does is get you 80% of the way there. And then if you want to get it to 100, you have to go back to zero first, because it essentially builds you something that is unusable. And then you have to break it all down and start over. Uh, Unless you start with your own version that's like, let's say 30 or 50% done, and then you ask it to just like refine that. But that has not been the rhetoric so far. The rhetoric so far has been like, holy crap, this agent can just do it. And then my guess is that that's how people are trying to use it. They're like, oh, do this task for me. And then when you do it that way, it goes to 80, then you have to go back to zero and start over and then get to 100, versus actually planning and thinking it out. Then you put the AI in and it can take it from 30 or 50 or whatever to 100 for you. This is my observation of what seems
Yeah.
like is happening.
And on the product side, I think like it's like cool. You can develop a lot more stuff. You're pushing a bunch of stuff out. That's awesome. I think there's this new thing, my personal opinion that I'm seeing is like every software now offers so much that it used to be just a like, hey, I need this software to do this very specific task for me. And it does this specific task extremely well. And I'm willing to pay X amount of dollars a month or whatever to have it achieve that task for me. But I feel like now every software is adding so much to its product offerings that one, the price it increases to offer all this stuff. We've seen this with the task manager we use, where it's like, oh, wait, your price is actually increasing because we're not just a task manager now. We're like a full AI agent that does all your coding for you. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I just needed a task manager. Like, I didn't ask for any of this. And I think what we're seeing is just like because people can launch all this stuff, they're launching all this stuff. But then I think there's kind of this like decision fatigue where it's like, well, there's this one big monolithic software versus this other big monolithic software, and I can't really tell what it does. Like, it's becoming harder to tell what specific task a software does because it's like is this an AI agent? Is this just supposed to do my social media marketing for me? Is it just a post scheduler? Like when before it used to be like, hey, this is a social media helper that schedules your posts for $5 a month. And it's like, oh, sick. Like, I need that. But now it's like, oh, it will do all your agentic branding and all this stuff. And it's like, what even? It's hard to tell what it's selling now. Honestly, it really is becoming hard to tell because their product offering is so massive. And even the drop downs on headers where it's like product or features are becoming like full screen, like a full screen.
Full
They take
splash
over the
pages.
whole,
Yeah.
yeah, they're like full screen drop downs that like have like 30 products. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I don't even have time to like look over all of this stuff. It's becoming pretty, uh, yeah, I think decision fatigue is the right word, or like, just
Yeah.
like hard to determine what I'm getting from the software. And like you guys pointed to, it's becoming harder to prove. It's becoming harder to prove that it's
Yeah.
actually saving you money. And so, yeah, at some point, like we've said before, tokens and agentic work becomes a huge line item on the balance sheet. Investors, boards of larger companies are going to start asking questions about like, well, is this actually getting us sales? Are people actually converting because we offer 40 different things? Like, is this working? And none of that data is in yet. Like, no one has any of that data, like at
Yeah.
all. But the sentiment I'm seeing is like, I do feel like there's this conversation being had right now where it is kind of turning a little bit to be like, well, is AI helping everyone that much? Like, is it actually making everyone more successful? And even that little hesitation by a lot of large companies is enough for me to be like, ooh, I have a feeling the data is
Yeah.
not great. Like,
Well, yeah, I just feel like it should be a little like it should spook people a little bit, like that are kind of deeply involved in all this stuff. It's just like, as we move out of mythical land, it's like then what? And optimists will tell you, yeah, we're still at the beginning of this, and like I totally agree with that. And I would also like say like, and this is all very healthy. Like these are just very healthy conversations companies are having. But
yeah.
yeah, like kind of in that same vein with I believe this is also part of Uber's kind of that same like conversation or in the earnings call or whatever it was. But it was basically like out of every dollar they spend on every dollar of token spend, 18 cents is shipped into a stable prod feature.
Wow.
And then bug fixing was like almost half, I think, if I remember correctly. I'll have to like find this chart.
Mm.
Reworking was like a quarter. And so, uh, and then a couple miscellaneous things for the rest of it. But like when you start looking at that, you're like, okay, well, if only 18 cents on the dollar of token spend is making it into a stable prod feature, that's not a great return. Now you can't really expect, obviously you're never going to expect the full dollar to make it in. And then of course it depends on how much that stable prod feature makes and yada yada yada. But that is far
Yeah.
too low, especially
Yeah.
when bug fixing is almost half. Like that
Yeah.
number has to come down significantly. And
It's
so
like
if the
for every
quality isn't
dollar.
quite there yet, like
Yeah,
it's some,
for every dollar of token spend, are you building something that someone wants to pay for? That's really the
yeah,
question. Is like for every
or
dollar, are you
yeah.
actually building something that someone will pay you real money for? I don't know. It's really hard to figure out.
Well, to the
What do you
point
think,
of
Josh?
every company doing a million things, like I think the only reason why consumers didn't like that was genuinely because of logins. They just didn't like
Mm,
that they forgot their passwords. But now that nobody uses logins, I mean, at least I'm pretty sure that's like how most companies are. Almost everybody uses Google or Facebook or Apple login. They don't save their own usernames and passwords. It
Hmm.
doesn't really matter whether you use 5 products to do marketing or one, because
Mm,
it's not that much hassle. You just tap
effort.
sign in with Google again, and half the time, because it's running through Google now, it saves your login for a lot longer. So it's no longer an issue. And then even with paying, like you could use
Mm,
Apple Pay or you can connect your Stripe. And so you don't have to type in the details every time. I genuinely don't know any other reason why people don't like using multiple products. And then are those companies that are offering like 50 products actually offering anything good for each use case, or is it just like trash? Like
Yeah.
it's just
It's just there
slop.
to exist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I'm
Yeah.
like, I know I've said this word on this podcast before, but there's a German word for just being really good at one thing, and it's called
Uh,
Mittelstand or Mittelstand. Um,
Yeah,
and
we should figure out how you actually say that.
that
Mea
was
culpa
one of
early on that one.
that was one of
we're
my
gonna get a lot of
agenda.
comments about that.
Yeah, for our 7 listeners, if you want to comment
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, to
and
all of
tell
our
us how
10
to
listeners
pronounce
out
that.
there, please don't comment about the pronunciation of that.
We
We
figured out it's
apologize to our
7 because
German
the 3 of
listeners.
We
us
apologize.
listen,
Yeah,
so there's only 7. There's 7
yeah.
other people. But
It's
thanks,
Oh,
huge.
you're
It's
right.
huge.
7. Anyways,
Good thing we just like talking to each other.
that was my later point in here, which is AI gonna bring about micro SaaS?
Oh,
Because
Mm,
is the reaction to this gonna be that because AI can help you develop a product, so long as the scope of that product is absolutely tiny, are there going to just be way more products that solve like really specific things that you pay? They're either free or you pay $5 or $10 a month for? Because the SaaS pricing model just doesn't really make sense for a lot of businesses. It's either like enterprise that starts at 10K plus a year, or like consumer prosumer that starts at $30 a month. And there's no in between. So I almost wonder if the reaction, like the crazy reaction to this bloat, is just going to be there's a million different products that are $10 a month, started by people that actually have industry expertise in whatever that product is, instead of one big company being like, oh, we can do 500 things, but we actually have no idea how those things work. We just asked AI how to do it, which consumers don't seem to like that.
oh, I love that. I love that take. But I will say, I think it won't be SaaS. Like, I think the trend will become like micro plugins to your existing models that you're using. So, like, instead of going to a website, logging in and using that website, I think the trend will become, and this is a hot take, so spam the hot take buzzer if we have it ready, the air horn. But
I love how
we're
you're like
getting the soundboard.
kind of waiting for it just a little. Yeah. Holy
There it
smokes,
is.
that's so loud.
That is very loud. I
Why
love
is
it.
that so loud? Sorry.
And so like you said, I don't think everyone's going to have 50 tabs open for every micro task they're going to go do. But I think there will be specialized like GPTs or like plugins or MCP servers that you pay for and it seamlessly connects to your existing stuff. So if you are using like a chat GPT or you are using like one of these larger CRMs or something and their agentic things, you're going to have just plugins for all of those so that it connects seamlessly and just stays within your existing thing. But I think you will have specialized stuff that you plug into and it will just pop right into your chat or like your existing, uh, models you're using pretty much. I think that will become the seamless thing to where,
Mm,
and you can pay right from there. You can like do that. I think that will become the new interface over time, a long time. But like you're saying, I think that's what makes sense because someone can't do everything and be the best at everything. I think it will be like these micro transactions that happen for plugins or skills or whatever you want to call it into the main GPT you use. I think that's kind of what it's going to be.
yeah.
Yeah, it's my hot
I
take.
mean, yeah, and that'll be yeah, that's interesting from a SaaS perspective too. And then like I'm curious to see where that crosses over into just general consumer spend when it comes to just like small products. And we've talked about it a lot, just like maybe the resurgence of small team, small products with
Yeah.
X ceiling that you define,
Hmm.
but I still think that's like a pretty big opportunity with all this. Um, but yeah, it's almost, you know, being okay at a bunch of things like seems to be somewhat the norm. Like these companies like that just have no business because they just are forced to expand or whatever, so they just keep going.
Yeah.
Uh, and then just make very average products, and it's just like hopefully there's an
Dude.
emergence of just the most focused, more focused, better products.
Yeah. So you know how like microtransactions in mobile apps was like absolutely game changers. Same with like gaming, like microtransactions, buying like virtual whatever. And it's just like dollar charge, $10 charge, $5 charge. It's just like nonstop, right? And that
Yeah,
became like the
yeah.
thing. Have people been talking about microtransactions in like ChatGPT? Like, if you like, what if it was?
Hmm.
So we run a quiz company, right? We run a quiz company.
Mm.
What if like you had a plugin with ChatGPT, and like if someone like requested it or like downloaded your software plugin or whatever, and it just said, "Oh yeah, generate this for $1." Like, generate this quiz for like $1 or like
Hmm.
$2 or like $3. Or like, use this specialized skill every time you want to run it for like $1, like a microtransaction. You know what I mean? Like, like that works in
Yeah,
other concepts like mobile
it
apps and
does.
stuff like that. There's like tons of microtransactions that happen with like games and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if it would be a similar thing, or like, oh, you want this workout plan? Like, yeah, just pay $1 right now, tap to pay, and then it just populates in ChatGPT. Like, because it's a really specialized like fitness plan from this company that has this brand. You know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah,
if
yeah, yeah.
Nike had a fitness plan thing where it was like, oh yeah, just pay $1
It's
right
just
now,
gate
tap to
kept.
pay, Apple Pay, and then it just populates straight in ChatGPT, calls their server, and runs their specialized like brand behind
It's
it.
interesting because
Have
you have
people
to
been
think
doing
like
that?
I don't. I mean, not that I've really seen, but I wonder. Like, you got to think from the standpoint of these AI companies. They like that would. There's nothing that would turn consumers off faster than something like that. Of just like, hey, do you want the answer? Pay $1, or whatever. And so that's probably why there would be a massive reluctance to introduce any level of that. And I
That's
know it would
why
be
it would have,
specialized and it's
yeah,
from
especially,
specific
yeah,
offerings. So like,
yeah.
but then it's still at the same time, it's like, oh, do you want like this generalized workout routine or do you want Nikes? And
That's
Nikes is $1. But again, like, isn't that the whole point of
That's the whole
these
economy
AI
of mobile
systems? Is
apps.
that
It's like
like, yeah,
there's tons
I
of
mean, it
free
is.
Tetris games, but there's a paid one too that people use.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's kind of the same concept. Like what it is, like wonder what people would be willing to pay for in that sense. But yeah, user experience would be
Yeah.
tough. It would have to be like an app store within the GPT that you would like within ChatGPT that you would have to say, okay, use this app or like use this GPT, and then you'd have
Yeah.
microtransactions. That's not a
It's
bad
very
idea.
specifically trained. Yeah.
Hey, if
I
no
just,
one's talked about that in public, I want the record to show that I am the inventor of
I'm I'm
microtransactions
sure
in
many people are
ChatGPT.
looking into that, looking into the viability and scalability of that. I would presume. Um, anyways, yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious to see. As always, with any of this, I'm curious to see where any of that lays up because it basically it also comes down to like to try to put a bow on all this is like at the end of the day is just how you're trying to make money, and so what weird things do you have to do or not do in order to
Yeah,
make money? So intrigued by
yeah.
that.
We also work with a lot of coaches who offer like course offerings or like specialized
Yeah,
plans for
that's another
people.
one.
So it'd be interesting, like, what would it look like to like have you want your personalized, detailed, generated thing with the brain and knowledge that I have, like,
Yeah.
pay a buck.
Pay a buck, pay $1, lose the dollar.
Pay a buck.
This is
Um,
interesting. I was just looking at the custom GPT store again because I hadn't looked at it in a while. It does seem like it
hmm,
has good usage. Wonder, I wonder if that will be the way that people operate. I guess to me, it's like a question of will people, will the behavior change of like
mhm.
starting from ChatGPT or Claude stick, or will people go back to an old version where they use Google, they use search, or they find recommendations through friends or whatever, and then go directly to the products at the end of the day. And like my my gut tells me that people are not going to stick with this like behavior change of doing everything through an AI.
The
Chat
faceless behavior.
GPT or
Yeah.
OpenAI, I think last weekend it broke that they're moving away from the chat model. And something tells me they wouldn't do that unless they were seeing usage decline. Because I just, I mean, that quote, like,
Yeah.
history changes, but humans don't. I'm like, are humans going to start just like going to a chat robot every time they
I
want
don't
a
that's
recommendation?
I've been held up by this a lot, and I've seen it sometimes in myself too, and I'm like, obviously like a tech forward individual, but like I'm just from a general consumer standpoint, like, I just don't like, I don't think chatbots are it. Like, it just I don't think they're super intuitive. It takes a lot of proactivity to, like, even prompting in general, let's say, like, it takes a lot of proactivity to say the right thing and to get it to do what you want it to do, and, you obviously get more comfortable with it over time, but, like, it's very, um, like, I just don't like, I see all these cool new products that are, like, chat-based and not interface-based, I guess. It's just hard for me to see it take off, like, with a general population. Like, maybe with a younger tech-minded population, sure. I'm just not so sure that, like, certainly my parents are not gonna use any sort of chat-based interface for, like, anything ever. Um, so I don't know. I don't know if you guys have thoughts about that, but, like, there's some sort of invisible barrier there that I just don't think on a general scale
Yeah, I would say I've never been
chat will
too
take off.
excited about the chat. Obviously, it's awesome and cool, but, like, I've never thought it would stick too much. The thing that I used for the first time, and I was like, "Whoa," was the voice AI stuff. That was the first, like,
Mm,
aha, like, "Whoa" moment. Um, there's something disconnected about a chat where you do just feel like you're talking to a not real person through chat, which, ooh, put a pin in that, the iMessage, like, AI stuff, the whole Apple update, we can talk about maybe in the next episode that we can do
oh,
a
yeah. I gotta look
WWDC
into that.
rundown. That's been crazy. But, the first time I used the voice chat on ChatGPT, where it's a, like, person talking to you, and it responds very quickly, and it will, like, have real enunciation and be like, "Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought about that," like, "Ba ba da boo ba da boo." I did find myself, like, enjoying that more than the chat interface. It's still kinda creepy and still a little weird, but, like, it does show me that there are iterations of it that can be more comfortable or I think more relatable to people. And I just so happened to be with my dad when I was trying it, and he was even like, "Oh wow, like I could do this," even though he doesn't use ChatGPT or anything. But then he found himself wanting to like chat or like talk using your voice or something like that. And so it is interesting to see that there are iterations that I think could get people more comfortable with it that necessarily aren't the chat bot. But yeah, I think there will be an iteration though. I don't think that they'll just go back to using like websites or Google because then there has to be an iteration because otherwise before back when Google started, people were probably like, who's going to go to a website to like search for stuff? I feel like it's probably the same thing. I'll just go to the library and look at a book. So there's always going to be
Mm.
some iteration, I feel like there's going to be
Mm,
something. What that is, I don't know and it's probably very far out. But yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like this was just the first thing. It is. I mean, this dead horse has been beat to death 55 times, but like the sudden rise of the AI chatbot is really interesting from a human psychology perspective. Like, what was it
Mm,
about the other modes of finding information that had people so ready to jump ship? Like that I think should be studied in more detail. Like, what was so wrong with Google and Instagram, which is like the places people were getting information from before, where they were just like ready to jump? Like, have we just ruined those platforms with too many ads or bad algorithms or what? That I think is very interesting.
I have a theory. I have a theory. I
hit
think
us.
Google search results were not aligning with what people saw on social media.
Hmm.
The ranking of
Hmm.
Google search results was not what people were seeing when they would search the same thing or hear people talk on social media. So they hear something on social media, look it up, and there was a huge misalignment. And
Hmm.
I think that's why the chat thing was like, oh, it's a synthesized answer. I don't have to click on these links. And it kind of aligns more with, how it kind of learns about you a little bit? It tailors it directly
Oh,
to
because
you.
social media is just showing you products
Yes.
that you already wanted to see
The
and giving
social
you answers
algorithm.
that you already
Mm,
wanted to hear.
Yes. The
And AI
social
does the same
algorithm.
thing.
Yes. It's not a search algorithm. It is a social algorithm that they're using in the AI, like the chat thing. It is very, like, if you tell
Hmm.
it, oh my gosh, I think I'm about to like die. I have the worst stomach ache ever. It'll be like, yeah, you might want to go get that checked. But if you say, hey, I'm feeling great. Actually, I'm totally cool. I have a little tummy ache. It's like, oh, nothing to worry about. It's very wants you to hear what you want to hear so that you
Yeah.
keep like talking to it. That is a social algorithm. It puts stuff in front of you
Whoa.
that makes you want to keep using it. A search algorithm was very heuristic based, like just how many times is this being shown? What's the most popular thing? That doesn't align with what you're seeing, like, or what you feel. It's not, the alignment's not there. And so it creates that human connection of like, hey, this is for you. This is your advice.
You know,
Google didn't have that.
you know what's funny is that if companies were personified, I think that ChatGPT and Instagram would be the same person. I've
Yeah.
thought that for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I kind of like that thought.
I think Instagram would be more of an extrovert, and ChatGPT would be more of an introvert or an extroverted introvert. But yeah, they would be the same.
Yeah,
Yeah. I could
If you
see the
catch
Instagram person being a little like
catch my drift.
fluffier. Yeah. No, wow. That's really interesting, Josh. I really thought about that. But gosh, you're kind of right. It's kind of funny to think about. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I
if it was,
also
yeah.
kind of feel like Sam Altman and Zuck are like similar people. At least their public, the way they come across in public, I perceive it as being similar.
Yeah.
Well, I'm waiting for Sam Altman to be smoking them meats. That's what then we got the full conversion. I missed that. I need to go watch
cool
that.
Zuck.
Yeah.
I'm
Cool
waiting
Zuck.
for Sam Altman to drink coffee recreationally. And then,
recreationally.
just some
until I
recreational
see
coffee
him in a Bay Area at a third wave coffee shop on his way into the office. I'm not, spending $9 on a latte, a specialized latte. I'm not, I'm out. You can count me out. Well, moving on. I don't know what this is about, Josh. I think you added this one in, but the sad wives of AI. I got to hear more. I hear more about.
There was a
why this is in
Wired
the
article.
agenda.
Wired article that came out about all these wives whose husbands have like AI psychosis, where all they ever want to do is be like, "Look what I made with AI! Look what I made with AI! Look what I made with AI!" And the wife is just like, "I don't care. I just want to have dinner together."
Yeah.
And the guy's just like, "Yeah, but look what I did. Look what Opus 4.8 did. And now whatever this new model is called, it's so cool."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I feel like. I could roast on this all I want, but is this very similar to when I recap my rounds of golf with my wife and she just loves me, so she's just trying to like pander, like, oh wow, but in reality she doesn't care at all.
So
this sounds way worse because this sounds people like replacing their wives with AI, because I've heard about that too. That's tough. That's a bunch of little boys out there. We need some more men around, but that's like that whole sentiment just like cracks me up because you're right. Like there's so many tech wives out there that are so tired of hearing about this stuff.
Yeah. The two big thoughts are, this is like a real conversation. Like people genuinely believe this is having a direct impact on fertility rate in the United States. And that's like legitimately true.
Absolutely.
Like,
I don't doubt that for a second.
And then two, I shared this with Josh when it came up like earlier last week, but on the same angle, Victoria's Secret stock absolutely shot through the roof because their earnings were beat like crazy. And the hypothesis there, which gets so dark, is that it was because of this same thing of like wives trying to get their husband's attention again because they're engrossed in AI. Is that not the most dystopian thing you've ever heard in your entire life?
That is straight out of one of those dystopian movies.
Literally.
No.
So I don't know. You could put 2 to 2 together and see for yourself, but I don't know. When I saw that, I was like, because I was like, why is that? And the discourse was around. It was all centered around this article and like fertility. I was just like, dude, this is some dystopian stuff going on.
I will say, like, speaking of like the AI not delivering stuff, in my own experience, talking to Nicole about this, my wife, when I just like show her something that I built and it's like actually useful for our life, she's like, "Oh, that's cool." When I talk hypothetically, just I just stopped doing that because she has no interest. And I feel like that's just how humans are. That's just like any relationship.
Yeah, I think that goes across anything.
If you're constantly talking about something that you're going to do, everybody just tunes you out. And that's the vast majority of the AI stuff. Oh, it's so cool. And it's like, okay, can you show me? Well, no, the local host thing isn't, you know, it's like a Kevin Hart joke about how his wallet works different. Do you know this joke? Where it's like he's out with his friends who are richer than him, and he's like, yeah, see, the way my wallet works, like I can't, my card, I don't know, it doesn't work here, so you guys can pay.
My card.
That's how people are talking about AI. Oh yeah, like the way my AI work, like you can't see it. I can't show you what I actually built, but it's so cool. Let me tell you about it for the next 3 hours. That I think is what people are upset about. It's not necessarily that like you're using it to do cool stuff. It's just that you're using it to do nothing, and then you want to talk about it.
You want to feel like you're getting a lot of stuff figured out and done. Yeah. It really helps you make you feel really productive and like everything in great detail.
And then you do nothing. And then you talk about how much you did. And I think that's what just like irks people. And it is kind of like a crypto thing where it is like heavily gendered of like who's really into AI. And it's like, yeah, dude. I mean, whether it's like buddies talking or with your wife, like anybody that comes to me and is just like, look at all these cool things. And I'm like, okay, did you do it? And they're like, no. I'm just like, I have zero time for you. I'm not interested.
Well,
please stop talking.
Does that go back to the summary of all this stuff? Of like, same thing with like all the way back to the SpaceX IPO. It's just like, yeah, but dude, in the future, man, you know, like I know 120x revenue seems crazy, but man, in the future, you know, like just imagine all this stuff. You're like, all right, well, the cycles are so fast here that like, no, I want to imagine it now, or I just want to move on. You know, like let's go figure it out now. Like I just want to, you know, and I think that's just the natural. Just cycles are so much quicker for everything these days, whether it's technology or otherwise. I feel like it speaks almost to that same sentiment, and that's again, I think we're kind of just moving out of that mythical phase and into the reality phase of, you know, like
I don't
know.
And I want our listeners to know I'm not above it, man. This is I do this too. Like I researched a plumbing problem I was having for hours, and I literally I'm an expert plumber at this point. ChatGPT taught me how to be a plumber.
Wait, is that why the water's out in your entire city?
It was actually with you. It was just you the whole time.
But guess what? I researched it all. I diagnosed the problem. I think I know more than the plumber, but did I go do it? Absolutely not. I called the plumber. I called the plumber to come over, but I knew exactly what needed to be done. And it was kind of funny because it was like, I can know all this stuff, but unless you actually do something with it or make a real impact, then like,
hey, at least you have the humility to be on the other end and be like, nah, I'm still not the guy to actually to execute. So, you know,
I know my limits.
We need more well-adjusted people like you. That's the shindig.
Moral of the story, I'm just a good guy. You know?
Hey, you're just a good guy. Well, good humble guy. Well, that puts us about 45 minutes. I think we can end on that note of Matt just speaking so highly of himself to wrap things up.
Speaking my truth.
That's perfect. Speak your truth, brother. That's what they say these days. Yeah, I never know how to wrap up these things. I think that was a good conversation. We had a lot of different topics today.
Everyone, thank you so much. That. Thank you to our listeners out there, our co-founded heads. We love you. Be sure to share this with your friends. Drop some likes. Share with your friends. I love doing this with you guys. We'll see you next week.
Brother.
Hey, love you guys. Cheers.
Love you.
Cheers.
Right. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.